Good morning, students. So last class we have discussed about internal RAM memory organization and special function register. Actually, your internal RAM is divided into lower 128 bytes and upper 128 bytes. So the lower 128 bytes is divided into three memory area. One is general purpose register, another one is bit addressable area, and third one is the scratch pad memory. So this is the overview of your bit. This is the overview of your RAM, that is summary of on-chip data memory. For general purpose register block, it totally takes 32 bytes. For bit addressable area, 16 bytes, and general purpose area, 80 bytes. So totally 128 bytes allocated for internal RAM. Okay, and these are some of the special purpose register, and some of the registers are bit addressable register. So bit addressable register means we can access the individual bits of special function register. Okay, SCON, all your IO ports, TCON, PSW, accumulator, B register, interrupt priority register, interrupt enable register. So these registers are bit addressable register. Remaining address are byte addressable registers. So we can access these registers, that is byte addressable register, by using this address. For example, TH1 means you can access this register by using this 8D. Okay. So coming into the pin diagram, 8051 pin diagram. So 8051 is a 40-pin IC. So 32 pins are allocated for IO operations. So port 0, port 1, port 2, and port 3. So totally 4 ports. Each port has 8 pins. So 8 into 4, 32 pins. Okay. So remaining pins are program store enable, address latch enable, and external access, and external oscillator inputs, and ALE, and also reset. Okay. So we will see one by one. So your first one is the VCC. So VCC ground I have already explained in the previous class. So 40th pin is VCC, 20th pin is ground. Okay. Next one is the XTAL1 and XTAL2, that is pin numbers 19 and 18. Actually, 8051 has on-chip clock oscillator. Okay, and it requires quartz crystal, that is 12 megahertz or 20 megahertz crystal, to be connected between these two pins, that is XTAL1 and XTAL2, for proper clock generation. Okay, so this is the circuit. Actually, this is the main heart of your 8051 architecture. So which generates clock pulses by which all the internal operations are synchronized. So the pins 18 and 19, that is XTAL and XTAL1 and 2, are provided for connecting a resonant network to form an oscillator. Okay, so the crystal frequency, here crystal oscillator is connected. So the crystal frequency is the basic internal clock frequency of your microcontroller. So the minimum frequency 1 megahertz and maximum frequency 16 megahertz. Okay. So the clock, that is the clock frequency, everything is, that is all the operations are synchronized based on your clock input. So here the mission cycle, two terms are very important to understand your 8051 operation, that is mission cycle and T state. Okay, so mission cycle means the time required to transfer data to or from memory or IO ports. Here totally 12 clock cycles. Okay, so the 2 clock periods equal to single state, that is state 1, state 2 up to state 6. Okay, 6 states is equal to 1 mission cycle. Okay, so 1 T state is equal to, this is the 1 T state. Okay, So this one T state is equal to 2 clock cycles. So totally 12 clock cycles is equal to 1 mission cycle. Okay. So the time, that is time required to transfer the data to or from the memory or IO port. So that amount of period is called mission cycle. So it requires 12 clock periods. So time period for one clock cycle is equal to 1 divided by your frequency, crystal oscillator frequency. So crystal oscillator frequency is 12 megahertz. So 1 divided by 12 megahertz is equal to 1 by 12 microseconds. So time period for one clock cycle is equal to 1 by f. F is your crystal oscillator frequency. So 1 divided by 12, that is equal to 1 by 12 microsecond. Here your T state is nothing but that is equal to 12 clock cycles. So totally how many states here? 6 states. Okay. So time period for one T state is equal to 2 into 1 by 12. Okay. So 1 by 6 microsecond. And one mission cycle is equal to 6 T states. So your one mission cycle is equal to how many T states? 6 T states. So 6 into 1 by 6 is equal to 1 microsecond. So time period of one mission cycle is equal to 1 microsecond. Okay. So this 1 microsecond completely depends on your oscillator frequency. Is it clear? So this is your oscillator frequency. Okay. One mission cycle is equal to 12 clock periods. So one T state is equal to, that is one state is equal to 12 clock periods. So one mission cycle is equal to totally 6 states. Okay. So 1 by 12 microsecond and one mission cycle is equal to 6 T states. So 6 into 1 by 6 is equal to 1 microsecond. Is it clear? Is it clear? Okay. For example, suppose your external oscillator frequency is 11.0592 megahertz. Okay. So here 12 megahertz. So time period for one mission cycle is equal to 1 microsecond. Okay. So here the external oscillator frequency is 11.0592 megahertz. So that case, mission cycle is equal to time required for one mission cycle is equal to 11.0592 megahertz divided by 12. It is internally divided by 12. So it is internally divided by 12. So this is your crystal oscillator frequency. Okay. So this is divided by 12. So 9 to 1.6 kilohertz. So I am converting this frequency into time period. So 1 divided by 9 to 1.6 kilohertz. So one mission cycle is equal to, so time required for one mission cycle is equal to 1.085 microsecond in case of 11.0592 megahertz crystal oscillator frequency. So let's take next example, 16 megahertz. So 16 megahertz divided by 12 is equal to 1.33 megahertz, converting frequency into time period. So this is the one mission cycle. So time for one mission cycle is 0.75 microseconds. So time period for one mission cycle is 1.085 microsecond. In case of 11.0592 megahertz crystal oscillator frequency, and similarly one mission cycle is equal to 0.75 microsecond for 16 megahertz crystal oscillator frequency. Is it clear? So this, I have already explained this one, Bala Meenakshi. Actually, it is a pre-scaling integer. So this integer is fixed by your Intel or any manufacturer of microcontroller. We are converting high frequency pulses to low frequency pulses. So this integer is called pre-scaling factor. So your external oscillator frequency is divided by 12. Any other questions? So throughout your syllabus, that is your author is following this frequency, that is 11.0592 megahertz, and the mission cycle required for executing a single instruction is 1.085 microsecond. Okay. So next pin is reset pin. So this pin is active high. The pin is the input pin and active high pin. So this is a power on reset. This pin is called power on reset. So when the reset pin is activated high, your microcontroller will reset and all the values in the register will be cleared except your stack pointer. So all the registers are cleared except your stack pointer. So upon reset, your stack pointer holds this value 0007 and your RAM memory content will be cleared. So this reset signal should be held high for at least 2 mission cycles to be recognized by 8051. So this is mainly for resetting your processor. That is, this is used to clear all your register values. So next, remaining pins are related to memory operation, that is EA. EA is external access. So in case of your 8031 and 8032, these microcontrollers don't have on-chip ROM memory. Okay, for that purpose, this EA pin is incorporated with all the 8051 microcontroller architecture. This active low pin. Active low means when the pin is connected to ground, this operation is activated. Okay, so if the pin is connected to ground, to indicate the code is stored externally. Okay, EA bar is equal to 1. So it's active low pin. Suppose if it is equal to 0 means this signal is activated. So if it is grounded, your external memory is accessed. External memory is accessed. If it is connected to ground, your external memory is accessed. If it is connected to VCC, suppose EA bar is equal to 1, internal memory is accessed. So internal memory and external memory operation can be differentiated by using this pin, EA bar. And next one is program store enable. So this program store enable is also an active low pin. It is used to activate enable signal of your external ROM. External ROM. So this signal acts as a read signal to the external program memory. So these two pins are related to your program memory. This is for accessing your internal and external memory, and this is for read operation. So next one is the address latch enable. So this pin is active high output pin. What is the purpose of ALE? What is the purpose of ALE? What is the purpose of ALE?
If the input ports are not used for input, can be used for address lanes, if this pin is enabled.
Okay. So the main purpose is, suppose your IO port is not used for any IO operation or external memory is connected. So this ALE is used to demultiplex the address and data bus. Okay. Suppose your ALE is equal to 0 means ALE is equal to 0 means the information on the multiplexed lines represent the data, that is D0 to D7. So when the external memory is connected, your port 0 provides multiplexed address and data. It acts as multiplexed address and data bus. Okay. So using ALE signal, we can demultiplex this address and data information. When ALE is equal to 0, the information on the multiplexed bus represent the data. Otherwise, it represent the address A0 to A7. So it's mainly used for demultiplexing the address and data information by using this particular latch, that is 74LS373 latch. Suppose when external memory is connected, your P2 act as higher order address bus, that is A8 to A15. So since your 8051 address bus size is 16-bit, 8-bit will be holded by P0, remaining 8-bit will be holded by P2. Is it clear? Any doubts? No doubts, okay. So totally 40 pin IC, 32 pins are utilized for IO operation. And remaining pins, so this is power on reset and external access, program store enable, ALE for memory related operation, and XTAL and XTAL1 and 2 is for connecting your external crystal oscillator. So this crystal oscillator decides the internal frequency of your 8051. Okay. So next topic is addressing modes of 8051. So before we start addressing modes, you must understand these terminologies, that is instruction cycle, mission cycle, T states, opcode, what is opcode and what is operand, how your instructions are classified based on length. Okay. So first I will explain instruction cycle. So please note it down. So the definition of instruction cycle is time required for the processor to fetch all the required parts of the instruction and execute that instruction. It is time required for the microcontroller to fetch all the required parts of an instruction and execute that instruction. So instruction cycle contains fetch cycle and execute cycle. So it consisting of two cycles for fetching all the opcodes from your program memory and execute that instruction. Okay. So mission cycle is nothing but a part of instruction cycle. For example, the mission cycle may be your opcode fetch, that is fetching opcodes from external memory or internal memory, memory read operation for reading data from memory, memory read mission cycle is required, memory write mission cycle, IO read mission cycle, IO write mission cycle. So mission cycle is nothing but is a part of instruction cycle. So I will explain instruction cycle here. So first CPU initiate the program execution. Initiate the program execution by fetching the instruction one by one from the main memory. Okay. So here instruction cycle consists of sequence of these operations. First, read an instruction from memory, either data or instruction. And next, decode the instruction as per the opcode, as per the instruction. And find the address of the operand and retrieve an operand. And based on the instruction, it will perform some operation. And after the operation is completed, we have to store the result. For that, it will find the address of destination memory and store the result in destination memory. Okay. So mainly 4 steps involved: fetching the instruction from memory, decode the instruction, execute the instruction, and store the result. Okay. So here mission cycle is part of your instruction cycle depending on the type of instruction. Okay. Single instruction might need 1 or more mission cycle to get executed by the CPU. Okay. For example, for multiplication instruction, it takes 4 mission cycle. For simple move operations, it takes 1 mission cycle. So depending on the instruction, depending on the type of instruction, the single instruction may require 1 or more mission cycle to get executed by the CPU. So minimum number of mission cycle required is 1. Maximum number of mission cycle required is 4 to execute single instruction. Okay. So to complete 1 instruction cycle, your CPU needs 1 or more mission cycle. Okay. So instruction cycle is, what is instruction cycle means? It is time required to fetch all the required parts of the instruction and execute that instruction. Your mission cycle is nothing but a part of instruction cycle. Your CPU needs 1 or more mission cycle to execute single instruction. Okay. Is it clear? Is it clear? He is asking your permission to accept him to rejoin the meeting. Inga request varliyeppa. Siddharth, avaroda request edum varala inga. Ask him to reconnect. Okay. So what is T state? According to your 8051 architecture, 2 clock periods is equal to T state. And 1 mission cycle consists of 6 states, that's 6 T states. That is 12 clock cycles are required for 1 mission cycle. So next one is opcode. What is opcode? Any idea about it? You have studied in your 86 architecture. Actually, your microcontroller instruction has 2 parts. One is opcode, other one is operand. What is opcode?
Ma'am, the variables. Ma'am, the variable used for the operation is called opcode, ma'am.
That is operand, not opcode. Not a variable. Actually, it is a part of the instruction that specifies the operation to be performed. Okay, please note it down, students. That specifies the operation to be performed. For example, move operation, add operation, multiplication operation. Okay. So here in this example, move is the opcode. Okay. Operand is data on which the operation is to be performed is called operand. Okay. So this operand may be your 8-bit data or 16-bit data or name of the register or memory address. Is it clear? So opcode is nothing but it will specify the operation to be performed, and here operand is data on which the operation is to be performed. So it may be a 8-bit data or 16-bit data or your memory address. So the classification of the instructions based on length, here we have single byte instruction, 2-byte instruction and 3-byte instruction. Okay. Single byte instruction. So single byte instruction means, for example, move A comma B. So this instruction has only one opcode. For example, 3F. So it takes only one opcode, so it takes 1 byte. So single byte instruction means only opcode will be available. There is no 8-bit data, 16-bit data or 16-bit address. Okay. So that instructions are called single byte instruction. Okay. 2-byte instructions. Move A comma hash 02. So here opcode 1 byte, data 1 byte. So total 2 bytes. So your opcode takes 1 byte, data takes 1 byte, so totally 2 byte. Is it clear? And next 3-byte instruction. Students, please note it down. So single byte means it contains only opcode. Okay. 2-byte means opcode plus 8-bit data. So next 3-byte instruction. So 3-byte instruction, for example, move dptr comma hash 4500. For this instruction, 1 byte is allocated for opcode. And next 1 byte is for your lower order address. Lower order address. Next byte is for higher order address. Totally it takes 3 bytes. So these instructions are called 3 bytes instruction. Is it clear? So based on the length, your 8051 instructions are classified into single byte instruction, 2-byte instruction and 3-byte instruction. Single byte means it contains only one opcode, and 2-byte means it contains opcode along with your 8-bit data. 3 bytes means your opcode plus your lower order address and higher order address. Is it clear? Students, is it clear? So let's move on to 8051 addressing mode. So the addressing modes of 8051 are classified into 5. That is immediate addressing mode, direct addressing mode, register direct addressing mode, and register indirect addressing mode, and in-text addressing mode. We will see one by one. So first, immediate addressing mode. What is addressing mode? What is addressing mode? What is the necessity of addressing?
Accessing the data in different methods.
What is addressing mode?
I'm accessing the data
Can
in
you repeat that? Huh?
accessing the data from memory from different
Addressing
methods.
the data, addressing the operand. That is a way to address an operand. Okay. So your operand may be a direct address or register name or immediate value, 8-bit value or 16-bit value. So addressing mode is a way to address an operand. Okay. So the first addressing mode is immediate addressing mode. So in the immediate addressing mode, 8-bit data is directly specified in the instruction. Okay. So here, in this example, move A comma has 6A. The 6A is your immediate data. So immediate data is directly specified in the instruction because the 8-bit data is immediately transferred to the accumulator. Okay. So this method can only used for source operand. Here, what is the source operand here? 6A is the source operand and A is the destination operand. So this method, this addressing mode can only be used for source operands, not for destination operands. Okay. So what is the functionality of this instruction? Move A comma hash 6A. So what is the purpose of this instruction? Any idea? So what is the purpose of this one? Move A comma hash 6A. Students, please answer my question. Loading 6A to accumulator, immediately transfer data to accumulator. Okay. Actually, the opcode for this particular instruction, 74. 74, and it takes 2 bytes of memory, and mission cycle required is 1 mission cycle. Okay, 1 mission cycle is required to execute this instruction, move A comma hash 6A. So 2 byte means 1 byte is for opcode, move opcode, and another byte is for your 8-bit data. Okay. So here you can see this table, that is the particular program memory. So it takes 2 bytes of data. One is for opcode, other one is for your immediate data. So this memory is your program memory. All your opcodes and data are stored in your program memory. And 0202 is your program counter. So in program counter is pointing this particular address. So your 74 is stored in 0202 and immediate data is stored in 0203. Okay. So after execution, the 6A is transferred to accumulator. And after execution of this particular instruction, your program counter is incremented by 2 from 0204. Sorry, 0202 to 0204. Okay. So first initially it is pointing 202. It takes 2 bytes. So 202 plus 2, after execution, it points 0204. So this is the operation of immediate addressing mode. So what is this E0 here? E0 is internal address of your accumulator. So when the instruction at 202 is executed means A is made active to receive that is ready to receive the data. Okay. So the opcode for this particular instruction 74 is located at 202. When this instruction gets executed, your accumulator is ready to receive the data. After execution of the instruction, your accumulator holds 6A. That's the 8-bit data. So the internal address of your accumulator is E0. Okay. Once the instruction gets executed, your program counter is incremented by 2, pointing 204. Is it clear? Is it clear? Is it clear, students?
Why do we call 74 as the opcode, ma'am?
Actually, it is pre-processed. It is designed. Every instruction contains one opcode. Using that opcode, your microcontroller will understand the operation.
And then again, if we have a command like move b comma some value, then what will be the, say again 74 only, ma'am?
For move A comma B, have another opcode.
Okay.
Okay. Every instruction has one opcode. That opcode is decided by your Intel. Okay. So based on the operation, your microcontroller will understand either it is a move operation or addition operation or multiplication operation. Using opcode only, it can understand the operation. Okay.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, is it possible to find the external address in the simulator?
Yeah,
MCU
external memory we can access. I will explain in the next class, the lab class, tomorrow's class.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Any doubts in immediate addressing mode? So example instructions for immediate addressing mode. So note down some of the examples. Move A comma hash 25 and move R4 comma hash 62. So these are some of the examples of immediate addressing mode. So next addressing mode, direct addressing mode. See here, the important point is in immediate addressing mode, the hash symbol. So you have to provide this symbol if you are giving or if you are entering a 8-bit data. So this symbol before the 6A indicates that operand is a 8-bit data. Suppose if this hash symbol is not present, then this value is considered as an address, internal address. So that is the difference. If the hash is present, it is considered as a 8-bit data. Suppose if the hash is absent, so this number would be taken as address. So here direct addressing mode, that is move A comma 04. It is not hash A comma 04. Here address of the data is given as operand. Address of the data is given as operand. So here 04 is the address of your register 4 of bank 0. So when this instruction is executed, whatever data available in stored in register 04 is moved to accumulator. So opcode for this particular instruction E5, it takes 2 bytes of memory and it requires 1 machine cycle to execute. Actually, after execution, actually it says 2-byte instruction, 1 byte is for your opcode and another byte is for your address. So this 04 is an internal address. Okay. So according to your bank registers, 04 is nothing but 04. What is 04? 04 is nothing but R4 of your bank 0. Okay. So R4 of your register bank 0. So this 04 contains 8-bit data. Is it clear? Actually, your 04 is the internal RAM memory address. So this 04 is nothing but your register R4 in bank 0. R4. R4 is equal to 04. So the internal address of R4 is 04. So this internal memory contains 8-bit data. So after execution, this 8-bit data was transferred to accumulator. Okay. Move A, 04H, move A, R4. Both the instructions are same, but the format is different. I am using direct address here. Here I am using register name. Okay. So both the instructions are same. So move A, 04 means the 04 representing your R4 register. So the content of R4 is transferred to accumulator. So initially your program counter pointing this 0202 address. After execution, this incremented by 2 pointing 024. 0204. Is it clear? Is it clear? Suppose if the hash symbol is used, what will happen? If hash is used in the particular instruction, what will happen?
Directly the value will be stored.
After execution, your accumulator holds 0.
Direct,
So that is the difference. If hash is present means that value is the 8-bit data. That value is data. Otherwise, it is considered as a address. Okay, internal address. So next, register direct addressing mode. So here, name of the registers are directly specified in the instruction. So your instruction specifies the name of the registers. Example, move A, R4. Opcode for this instruction EC, and it takes 1 byte and 1 byte of memory, and 1 machine cycle is required to execute this instruction. So EC is your opcode is stored in program memory at 202. After execution, your R4 holds, R4 is nothing but your bank 0 register 4. It holds 2F data, so that data was moved into the accumulator. Okay. Suppose, for example, your bank 1 is selected. So based on your PSW, register banks are selected. In case bank 1 is selected, means this is the R4 register. R4 register of your bank 1. So after execution, this value is transferred. Is it clear? So based on the bank selection, the data is transferred from register bank to accumulator. So this is for bank 0 and this is for bank 1. Any doubts?
Ma'am?
Yeah.
Ma'am, I have a doubt whether how it will distinguish between the banks, ma'am. Bank 0 or bank 1. Because
that selection can be done by the user side. Using PSW, we can select the bank.
Okay.
So using programming methods, we can modify the PSW content. Suppose if you want to select bank 2, bank 3, using PSW, we can select the banks. Okay.
Is there any other possibility we can directly give in the code itself?
Only using programming methods, we can modify the content of PSW. So you have to find out the value for bank selection and move that particular value to PSW, okay, using your programming methods, assembly language program or embedded C program.
Okay.
So any other doubts? So next class we will see about indirect addressing mode and in-text addressing mode. Okay. Any other clarifications? So answer your attendance. Roll number 1.
Present, ma'am.
2. 2 present. Roll number 2. 3.
2 present, ma'am.
2 present. Okay. 3.
3 present, ma'am.
4.
4 present, ma'am.
5.
5 present, ma'am.
6.
6 present, ma'am.
7. 7 Akshaya. 8.
8 present, ma'am.
9. 10. 9.
9 present, ma'am.
10.
10 present, ma'am.
11.
11 present, ma'am.
12.
12 present, ma'am.
Okay. 13.
13 present, ma'am.
14.
14 present, ma'am.
15. 16. 17.
17 present, ma'am.
18.
18 present, ma'am.
19.
19 present, ma'am.
20. 21. 22.
22 present, ma'am.
23.
Present, ma'am.
24.
Present, ma'am.
25. 26.
Present, ma'am.
27.
Present, ma'am.
28.
Present, ma'am.
29.
Present, ma'am.
30.
Present, ma'am.
31.
Present, ma'am.
32.
Present, ma'am.
33. 33. 34.
Yes, ma'am.
35.
Yes, ma'am.
36.
Yes, ma'am.
37.
Yes, ma'am.
38.
Present, ma'am.
37.
38 present, ma'am.
38.
38 present, ma'am.
Okay, okay. 37 present, 38 present, 39.
Present, ma'am.
41.
Present, ma'am.
Okay.
42
42.
present, ma'am.
43.
43 present, ma'am.
44.
44 present, ma'am.
Okay. 45.
45 present, ma'am.
46.
Yes, ma'am.
47.
Present, ma'am.
48.
48 present, ma'am.
49.
Yes, ma'am.